British criminal Ronnie Biggs, who took part in the 1963 Great Train Robbery, has died aged 84, his spokeswoman has confirmed. Biggs was part of the gang which escaped with £2.6 million from the Glasgow to London mail train on the 8th of August 1963. He was given a 30-year sentence but escaped from Wandsworth prison in 1965. In 2001, he returned to the UK seeking medical help but was sent to prison. He was released on compassionate grounds in 2009 after contracting pneumonia. Train driver Jack Mills was struck over the head during the robbery and never worked again. He died in 1970. Small-time crook Biggs, who died early on Wednesday, was being cared for at the Carlton Court Care Home in East Barnet, North London. He could not speak and had difficulty walking after a series of strokes. He was last seen in public at the funeral of his fellow Great Train robber, Bruce Reynolds, in March. Christopher Pickard, ghostwriter of Biggs's autobiography, said he should be remembered as one of the great characters of the last 50 years. He told BBC Radio 4's Today programme his friend was a very kind and generous man with a great sense of humour. Biggs was one of the first products of the media age who inherited fame while running around the world, he said. Anthony Delano, who wrote a book about Biggs, met the criminal a number of times. He was a man with no moral compass whatever, he told BBC Radio 5 Live. He was a small-time crook who probably would have ended up in prison for a greater part of his life anyway. I think he was lucky actually to have so much of it free. And Mick Whelan, General Secretary of Train Drivers Union ASLEF, expressed sympathy for Biggs's family but said, "We have always regarded Biggs as a non-entity and a criminal who took part in a violent robbery which resulted in the death of a train driver." Jack Mills, who was 57 at the time of the robbery, never properly recovered from the injuries he suffered after being savagely coshed by the gang of which Biggs was a member that night. Totally regrettable. Biggs, Reynolds, Ronald Buster Edwards and the other gang members wore helmets and ski masks to carry out their crime, which took place near Cheddington, Buckinghamshire. They made off with 120 bags of money totaling £2.6 million. The equivalent of £40 million in today's money. Speaking to Nicky Campbell on Radio 1 in 2000, before his return to the UK, Biggs said his share of the money had been £147,000. "I squandered it totally, within 3 years it was all gone," he said. Since then he had been living on my name only, he added. He said it was totally regrettable that train driver Jack Mills has been injured during the robbery. "I regret it fully myself. I only wish it would not have happened but there's no way that I can put the clock back." But Biggs said he did not regret the robbery and, referring to comments made by the judge in the trial, he said, "I'm totally involved in vast greed, I'm afraid." Rope ladder. Peter Rayner, a former chief operating officer for British Rail who worked with Mr. Mills, said, "My view is that whilst I was, and am, critical of the Great Train robbers and the hero's welcome they got, especially in light of the death of Jack Mills, my sympathies go out to his family." Biggs, who lived in Australia and Brazil while he was on the run, had been in prison for 15 months when he used a rope ladder to climb over the prison walls. He had initially fled to Paris, with his wife Charmian and 2 sons, Farley and Chris. He was arrested in Rio de Janeiro in 1974 by Chief Superintendent Jack Slipper, of Scotland Yard. But he successfully argued against extradition because he had fathered a son, Michael, by his Brazilian girlfriend, Raimunda. In 2011, his son, Michael, told the BBC News website his father had a final wish that his ashes be spread between Brazil and London. The BBC said 2 film dramas about the robbery, A Robber's Tale and A Copper's Tale, scheduled to be broadcast on BBC One on Wednesday and Thursday, would still go ahead. Writer Chris Chibnall said the programs did not focus on Biggs. The first is from the point of view of Reynolds, while the second tells the story of the police investigation. "With anything like this your thoughts have to be with the family on a day like today," Mr. Chibnall said. "He has children and obviously it's going to be a very difficult day for them.